No contact. The dark psychology of no contact with women. Modern Stoic. Let's strip away the illusions and face reality. Women don't always come back because of love. They don't suddenly wake up overwhelmed with regret or haunted by memories of your kindness and smile. The truth is far more tactical. When a woman returns, it's often because of control, not affection. Going into genuine no contact, no pretending, no waiting for the phone to ring, just completely detaching, creates a powerful shift in the dynamic. You stop chasing her. You stop feeding her ego. You become unavailable. And that, my friend, is pure psychological power. She starts to wonder, why hasn't he called? Has he moved on? Did I lose my hold on him? That fear, that nagging emptiness you leave behind, is what triggers the pull. But here's the kicker. She's not coming back for you. She's coming back for the power she lost. It's not your charm, your smile, or even your success that draws her in. It's the silence you create, the psychological wound your absence causes to her ego. Most men miss this crucial point. She'll test you. She might send a casual, "Hey stranger" text. She may call unexpectedly, just to hear your voice, or she might show up with nostalgic smiles. But don't be fooled. It's not love. It's a reconnaissance mission. She wants to know if she still holds any sway over you. If you crack, if you respond too eagerly, reveal too much, or fall back into old emotional patterns, you've handed her back the control. The power balance shifts. You start chasing again. She's back in charge. Remember, no contact isn't about winning her back. It's about regaining your dignity, your emotional clarity, and your inner strength. It's about becoming untouchable, not out of anger, but out of mastery. The Stoics understood this well. Detachment isn't about indifference. It's about mastering yourself. When you can do this, you're not just getting a woman back, you're deciding whether she's worthy of being part of your world. 1. She can't handle being replaced. One of the most psychologically triggering reasons a woman comes back after you initiate no contact is rooted not in love, but in fear, specifically the fear of being replaced. As long as you're texting, checking in, or lurking in the shadows of her attention, she knows she still holds space in your world. But when that silence kicks in, when you disappear and go dark, something inside her begins to unravel. Suddenly, she's not just dealing with distance. She's dealing with the haunting possibility that someone else is now receiving the attention, the admiration, and the affection she once took for granted. This, for many women, is unbearable, and while she may tell herself and her friends that she's over it, that it's no big deal, or that she's already moved on, deep down a storm brews, one of doubt, of insecurity, and of emotional panic. The mere thought that you could move on so easily without her, that another woman could now be smiling at your texts or laughing at your jokes, becomes a blow to her ego, not just her heart. As Stoic wisdom teaches us, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. A truth from Epictetus that explains exactly why this fear can grow into obsession. It's not your actions, but her perception of being replaced that becomes the trigger. Women, like all people, desire to feel irreplaceable, to believe that their presence in someone's life is unique and unmatched. So when your silence suggests you've filled that emotional space for someone new, it ignites something ancient within her, a competitive drive, a need to prove her worth again, a deep psychological urge to reclaim her place in your life. It's not always about wanting you back. Sometimes it's about needing to know she could still have you if she wanted. This is why she may suddenly reach out, react to an old post, or start showing up in subtle ways. She's checking if the door is still open, if her presence still matters, if she hasn't been replaced by someone better. And here's where your discipline becomes power. So remain silent, remain composed, and remain grounded. The Stoic man does not chase validation. He lets others reveal themselves in the silence. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius once said, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In this case, your best move is not to retaliate emotionally or to play mind games, but simply to live well, grow stronger, and let her face the reality that you are no longer dependent on her presence. So to all the men watching this, ask yourself, are you holding on out of genuine love, or are you afraid of letting go? Because the moment she realizes you're no longer afraid to lose her, she becomes afraid of losing you. What do you think about this psychological truth? Have you seen this dynamic play out in your life? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might be the exact insight another man needs today. 2. You stop chasing, and it drives her crazy. There's a hidden power that few men understand, yet those who do find themselves in total control of the emotional chessboard, and it begins the moment you stop chasing her. You see, many women are conditioned, consciously or unconsciously, to find validation in being pursued. Each call, each text, each compliment you gave her wasn't just a message. It was a signal that she held space in your world, that she was central to your emotional universe. But when you go silent, when you withdraw that energy, it sends a shockwave through the dynamic she thought was secure. You flipped the script, and in doing so, you awaken a psychological tension that can be both disturbing and magnetic to her. She's no longer sure where she stands. That confusion? That's where your power begins to grow. Your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. Think about it. While you were constantly available, you were like background noise, always there, always comforting, but easily ignored. Now that you're gone, the silence becomes unbearable. That attention you used to give wasn't just affection, it was her emotional safety net. And when that net disappears, she starts to fall into uncertainty. That emotional vacuum you've created begins to echo in her mind, and the more it echoes, the more she realizes what she's missing. It's not just about ego, it's about human psychology. We often don't recognize the value of something until it's gone, and your withdrawal forces her to confront that loss in real time. Here's where Stoic wisdom comes into play. The Stoics taught that the man who masters himself becomes untouchable. When you stop chasing, you're not being petty, you're practicing emotional discipline, you're reclaiming your power. In modern life, this isn't about playing games, it's about shifting the balance of energy. When you stop pursuing, you're no longer the one on the defensive. You're not reacting, you're observing, you're calm, and you're in control. Suddenly, she is the one wondering, who is he chasing now? Has he moved on? Did I lose him for good? Those questions start to gnaw at her, creating a storm of insecurity she never saw coming. Think about the story of James and Emily. James, like many men, believed that consistent effort would win her heart. He called, texted, planned everything. He made her feel adored. But Emily, wrapped in the comfort of always being wanted, never truly reciprocated. She assumed James would always be there. Until one day, James simply stopped. No more texts, no more likes, no more sweet words. At first, Emily barely noticed. She thought it was a phase. But as days turned to weeks and her notifications stayed silent, anxiety set in. She started checking her phone, wondering what changed. Was he seeing someone else? Was she no longer special? That mystery ate away at her, and in a moment of vulnerability, she reached out, with a casual excuse, of course, just to feel that attention again. But for James, this wasn't a trick or a tactic. This was transformation. He had realized his worth wasn't tied to being constantly available. He understood that real value is never in the chase. It's in presence, restraint, and self-respect. And Emily, in that moment, saw it too. This is the core of the no-contact rule, not to manipulate, but to wake her up to the value of what she once overlooked. In today's world, where attention is cheap and instant gratification is everywhere, the man who withdraws his energy becomes a mystery, and mystery is magnetism. By stepping back, you reframe the entire story. You're no longer the man who needs her validation. You are the man she now craves to understand. Use this wisely. Don't chase. Let her feel the silence. Let her sit with the questions. And let that space work for you. Because in that quiet space, she will either realize your worth or make room for someone better to recognize it. And if you find today's content very interesting, please give me a word of encouragement by commenting "very interesting" in the comments section. That is a huge motivation for us. Thank you. 3. She misses the power she had over you. When a woman no longer has power over your emotions, your time, or your attention, something very primal shifts inside her. You see, many men don't realize that what often fuels a woman's emotional security in a relationship isn't just love. It's the sense of influence she feels over the man she's with. That influence can be subtle, like how often you text her, how quickly you reply, or how eager you are to please her, but it's real. When she knows she can pull your strings, she feels powerful. She knows she's the sun in your sky. But when you pull away and go silent, when you invoke the Stoic strategy of no contact, the entire dynamic is flipped upside down. Suddenly, she's no longer in control. And this doesn't just confuse her, it destabilizes her. She's now sitting in the void you used to fill, wondering if you've moved on, who you're talking to, and why her usual tactics don't work anymore. This is the dark psychology of no contact. It forces her to confront the truth that her influence is gone. She is no longer the queen of your emotional world. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's exactly what you're doing by going silent, taking your power back. And make no mistake, she will notice. At first, she may enjoy the space, mistaking it for a game she's winning. But as the silence grows, so does her uncertainty. She starts asking herself the questions she used to expect you to ask. Does he miss me? Is he thinking about me? Has he moved on? And just like that, the tables turn. But here's the kicker. If she reaches out, don't be fooled into thinking it's always about genuine emotion. Sometimes it's just her testing the waters to see if she can still control the temperature. She doesn't miss you. She misses the power she had over you. Take the real-life story of Mark and Sarah. Mark used to be all in, texting Sarah, planning dates, showing her constant affection. Sarah grew accustomed to it and stopped putting in effort. Mark chased, while Sarah leaned back. But then Mark stopped. He vanished from her inbox, her call log, her radar. At first, Sarah shrugged it off, thinking he'd come back like he always did. But days turned into weeks. Then came the silence. And in that silence, Sarah felt the power vacuum. When she finally reached out, it wasn't to say, "I miss you." It was to check if she still had that invisible leash around his neck. That, my friend, is where the wisdom of Stoicism separates boys from men. The high-value Stoic man does not chase. He does not beg. He simply withdraws, because he understands that true power lies in what you choose not to react to. As Epictetus wisely said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And your emotional reactions to someone who disrespected your value, that lies completely in your control. So if you're going through this right now, if you're wondering whether to reach out, to explain, to clarify, don't. Embrace the silence. Let her feel the loss. Let her miss the emotional validation she once took for granted. And most importantly, use this time to rebuild yourself. Because this isn't just about her anymore. It's about becoming the kind of man who cannot be manipulated by affection, attention, or temporary validation. That's the Stoic edge. That's the dark psychology of no contact, not to hurt her, but to liberate yourself. 4. No contact makes her feel like she's losing control. When you go no contact, you don't just go silent. You disrupt her entire psychological framework. You break the pattern she's grown used to, the one that gave her certainty, the one that made her feel secure in her position over you. Control for her isn't about obvious domination. It's about knowing, predictability, patterns. When you always text good morning, when you instantly reply, when she can predict your next move, she feels in charge, even if she doesn't say it out loud. It's the illusion of emotional control. And when you cut communication, that illusion burns to the ground. Suddenly, her emotional compass spins. She doesn't know where you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The silence is loud. It forces her to ask herself questions she never had to ask before. Is he gone? Has he moved on? Did I push too far? Does he even care anymore? These questions aren't random. They are psychological chaos unleashed by your silence. What you're doing isn't just pulling back. You're changing the rules of the entire game. She's not used to that. She's used to being the one who sets the tempo, who gets the last word, who decides when the door is open or shut. But now, the door has disappeared. You've become a mystery. And that, my brother, is power. As long as you were predictable, she never had to worry. You were the open book, the safety net, the emotional insurance. But the moment you went quiet, you became unpredictable. And in human psychology, unpredictability creates urgency. It activates desire. That's not manipulation. That's how the human mind works. As Robert Greene said in The Art of Seduction, absence increases respect and honor. When you're always present, you're taken for granted. But when you remove your presence, you create scarcity. And scarcity, my friend, is value. Now she's the one wondering. Now she's the one chasing. Because now the emotional scales have tipped. She's no longer in the driver's seat, you are. That shift triggers not just emotional panic, but also ego disruption. She's not just wondering if you care, she's trying to figure out how she lost the grip. And that eats away at pride. Because here's the truth. No one likes to feel like they've lost control over someone who used to orbit around them. But the moment you stopped orbiting, you became your own planet. You became the sun. And let me tell you something real. When you step away in silence, you speak louder than any words ever could. You are saying, I no longer operate by your rules. I don't need validation. I'm not here to be controlled. I'm here to lead. That is old Stoic wisdom in action. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Brother, the no contact rule isn't just a strategy, it's a declaration. A declaration that you no longer need to explain yourself. You don't need closure. You are the closure. And the irony? She doesn't want to chase, but she has to, because the silence doesn't just leave a void. It tells her something terrifying. She's no longer the center of your world. And whether she admits it or not, she'll want that power back. She'll feel the pull to reconnect, just to reclaim that sense of control. But here's your job. Don't hand it back. Keep your frame. Stay solid. Stay unmoved. Because the man who can remain silent in chaos is the man who holds all the power. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of the game. Most men can't break free from the patterns that trap them in cycles of predictability. But you've learned the power of silence, the power of unpredictability. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below. I am no longer bound by her rules. Let's engage and take control of our own destiny. 5. Silence exposes her feelings, and that's when you win. Silence is not emptiness. It is a tool, a reflection, and an opportunity for growth. When you practice emotional detachment, you don't just walk away. You create a space that others cannot ignore. Your silence speaks louder than any words or explanations ever could. And in that space, the other person begins to confront something powerful, their own feelings. In relationships, people, especially those used to constant attention and validation, often rely on emotional feedback to measure their importance in your life. When that feedback disappears, it can cause confusion and introspection. She may begin to ask, why hasn't he reached out? Does he still care? These are not just passing thoughts. They can evolve into deeper reflections. This is the psychological effect of silence. It forces introspection and brings forth feelings that were previously left unexamined. This realization can be uncomfortable, especially for someone who believed they had control. By stepping back, you're not forcing any reactions. You're simply allowing space for clarity. When you don't react, when you don't chase, you give them the chance to explore their true emotions on their own without your influence. As Stoics teach, he who angers you conquers you. But in silence, you conquer yourself, and allow others to face their own inner truth. You don't need to argue, beg, or explain. Your absence can create the emotional space for them to reevaluate their feelings and their relationship with you. Remember, true strength comes from emotional control, not manipulation. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means you have the power to remain unshaken, no matter what others might expect. If this resonates with you, like, share, and leave a comment saying, "My silence reveals the truth." If you're ready to take control of your emotional power without saying a word, this wisdom is for you. 6. Women love the chase but hate losing it. Women love the chase not because they're playing games, but because the pursuit itself awakens emotion, excitement, and curiosity. The chase creates a dynamic tension, a spark that makes her feel alive, intrigued, and drawn in. But here's what most men completely overlook. While she may enjoy the thrill of being pursued, what she truly hates is realizing the chase is over, especially when it ends because you stopped chasing. Many men mistakenly believe that once they've won her attention or affection, the mission is accomplished, the game is complete, and now comfort can take over. But that mindset slowly drains the attraction dry. You see, it was never just about being caught, it was about feeling pursued with purpose. And once the thrill fades, so does her emotional investment. In truth, women want to feel like they're still worth the effort, still a mystery, still valuable enough for you to work for, even after you've won them. When you pull back and focus on your own path, your own mission, and stop revolving your world around her, she starts to feel something unexpected, a sense of loss. And this is powerful. As the Stoics would say, he who is brave is free. And when you live from your own center, when you stop clinging, stop over-pursuing, and embody calm strength, you trigger something far deeper than momentary attraction. You trigger respect. Women instinctively know that a man who has purpose beyond them is a man who cannot be manipulated by attention or emotion. That's why no contact works. It repositions the balance of power, replacing obsession with clarity and desperation with dignity. It doesn't mean playing games or pretending you don't care. It means living a life so full, so grounded, that her presence becomes a blessing, not a need. And here's the paradox. The more you prioritize yourself without neglecting her entirely, the more she feels like she's the one chasing you. Because deep down, what women fear most is not being pursued. It's realizing they've lost the ability to attract your attention. The moment she senses the chase is slipping away, her mind begins racing with questions. Why isn't he trying anymore? Has he moved on? Is someone else capturing his interest? That fear becomes the seed of obsession. So men, take this wisdom to heart. Maintain your mystery, protect your purpose, and never hand over your emotional center. Stay grounded in who you are. As Seneca wisely said, "If you know not to which port you sail, no wind is favorable. Keep sailing toward your mission, not toward approval." And now I ask you, have you ever pulled back and seen her chase harder? Or have you given too much too soon and watched her vanish? Share your story in the comments. Your insight could help another man regain his strength today. Thanks for watching, my friend. If you found this helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Remember, real love isn't about ego. When she comes back, it's often a test, not genuine affection. Stay grounded, hold your peace, and choose strength over validation. Don't let your focus be disrupted. Have you experienced this? Drop your story in the comments below. Let's learn from each other. The real question isn't if she'll return, it's if you'll let her back in. Stay firm, stay focused, and remember, you control the outcome. Catch you in the next one. Stay strong.